I'm your host, Cortney, and I am here this week with Brittanie, who is a new mom of one. Not new, but still in the first year of motherhood. So she's actually here today to talk to us about a little bit more of a sadder subject. If you've been following me for a while, then you know that I'm a huge advocate of pregnancy and infant loss awareness. So Brittanie's here today to discuss her journey through pregnancy loss with me and you. And so we'll pop open some bubbles and we'll get started. So obviously, bubble drinks are usually a sign of a celebration. And maybe you're wondering why we're having a celebration when we're talking about such a somber subject, but motherhood should be celebrated, and the courage of moving forward after pregnancy and infant loss should also be celebrated. So we are not celebrating a loss. We are celebrating moving forward.
I agree with that.
All right, so you have had 2 losses.
Yes.
Before you had a full-term birth. So why don't you talk me kind of a little bit through the first one?
All right, for our first miscarriage, I had just come here to Canada. I'm not actually a Canadian.
Okay.
I'm an American, but I had met and married my husband, and so I'd come over and did not yet have my PR.
Okay.
So for the first one, it was difficult because usually when you find out you're pregnant, you're so excited, and I was, but I was like scared to death because we didn't have insurance, and it was unplanned, and so there was a lot of guilt after the fact that it wasn't successful, because that was just the first initial reaction, and then immediately afterwards, you know, when I told my husband, we both wanted the baby, we wanted it so much, and then to find out later that it wasn't happening was like the biggest crushing blow, and then you're overwhelmed with the guilt. And for us, it wasn't super long. It was less than 6 weeks that we found out that we're pregnant, but it's you know, no matter how short you have a baby, it's sad.
It is sad because you become attached to the fact that
you're ready.
You're gonna have a life,
yes.
And then you've already imagined this baby and this life that you're gonna have with it, and then it's just completely ripped away.
Yeah.
And you know what? The reaction that you had when you found out, for anyone that has an unplanned pregnancy, I think it's always a shock factor and an adjustment and scary, and I think that's a completely normal feeling. But then the guilt of thinking that somehow that those thoughts kind of triggered a loss, which is completely ridiculous when you really think about it, but anxious brains come up with their own ideas.
Exactly.
So then your next pregnancy also unfortunately ended in loss.
Yes.
So
now the next pregnancy we were planning for, so we were ready to go. I'm a bit on the older side, so like we're trying not to waste time. And it was actually the first month after we were trying, so it's like, yes, you know, and then again, it was, you know, when you find out that, you know, it's not working out for me, and I started spotting, and so that was immediately the scary, but for, you know, implantation, that can happen, so I was hoping not, but then it just kept coming, and then the overwhelming sadness of the feelings coming back. Now for the first one, I did not deal well with it. I took a long time to heal. Some people are really okay, you know, they seem to heal quickly, but I did not. It took me a long time for the first, but for the second, it's kind of like, it wasn't easy,
no,
by any means, but it was like I've been on this journey before before, so I knew the road and I knew how to get to a better place.
Were you scared at that point that maybe you were never going to be able to carry a baby to term after having 2 back-to-back losses?
Absolutely.
So how did you kind of continue pushing forward to try again?
There is a lot of fear, and I will say even with our successful pregnancy, there's a lot of fear. There's some moms that get pregnant and they have their entire pregnancy just full of joy and happiness, and like in 9 months I'm gonna have this baby. And for someone that's had a miscarriage, it's like, yeah, I made it to this step. Will I be able to make it to the next step with my baby? You know, I hope I can, you know, and you just treasure every moment without taking anything for granted.
I get that. With my first pregnancy with my first son, I was like super anxious about everything. Like I was like, every little thing that went wrong, I was getting checked. And then I got pregnant again after him, and I was like, okay, like I know the drill. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna enjoy this one a little bit more.
That's good.
And I'm gonna enjoy the journey. And then I went and I birthed almost at 6 months, and we ended up losing her. So then moving forward in my next pregnancy after that, I get it. Like every single day was like an anxious worry, and it was not joyous at all. It was terrifying every single day. So
every little
thing that you feel that it's completely normal in pregnancy. That's the thing. Everything that's a normal pregnancy symptom can also be a sign that something is wrong. And that's what's so terrifying. Yeah. Not to scare anybody that's watching that might be pregnant and hasn't suffered a loss, but pregnancy is so unpredictable, and when you want to enjoy it, you also want to listen to your own gut instincts because they're usually not wrong. So why is it so important to you to speak out and tell your story and talk so candidly about miscarriage? Because a lot of people, it's a very like hush-hush subject.
Exactly. I mean, I was told by people the first time when when you're having a miscarriage, your body kind of knows, and you kind of know, at least for me, especially the second one, I was like, I'm having a miscarriage, and that horrible feeling. And I kind of was trying to reach out to people saying, hey, I feel like something's not right. Can you pray for me? Or, I would just be like, hey, I'm worried, and just, you need to share. And then I had some people that said to me, they're like, oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me about it. You're not 12 weeks yet. You shouldn't share. And I was like, okay. But then I'm thinking, like, I'm supposed to keep it inside. And you hear that. Don't announce till like 12 weeks, right? But then what does that mean? You're supposed to keep everything to yourself. You're not supposed to share pain. Everybody else in the whole world is allowed to share pain if they need to share pain. But apparently not miscarriages before 12 weeks.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing. Like, what are we supposed to be ashamed of it? Like, it's nothing that you do that's your fault. If you're have a heart attack or anything like that, it's completely okay to talk about, when a lot of the time it's your own poor lifestyle choices, not all the time, that lead to those kind of medical episodes, and people aren't embarrassed about that. But it's for some reason when you're a woman and you're suffering a pregnancy loss or a miscarriage or even an infant loss, that they feel like they need to hide it because it's shameful when it's not. The other thing, like you said, it's so true. If you have cancer, you're allowed to rally around, and there's lots of support for people going through cancer, for families of people that are affected by cancer. But when people are affected by pregnancy and infant loss, it's like we abandon them, and it shouldn't be that way. So thank you for wanting to speak out and share your story. I just started sharing mine because I'm starting to realize the importance. Okay, so you said that when you were reaching out to people, to try and talk about your feelings about the miscarriage, and they were kind of telling you like, no, like
a few people, yeah.
After you came out and it was really a loss, and you told people, what kinds of things did they say to you that were just absolutely not helpful?
The 3 worst things about when you're first having a miscarriage that people say to you will be to blame you. I had people like blame you, not like they're not like in your face blaming you, but they're like, oh, well, did you do this? You know, and I'm like, oh, you know, like it could be anything. And even though like science proves that it's, you know, the body and eggs and everything doing their own thing, that was really hurtful. Like when they're trying to find a reason that it was your fault. They don't say that, but that's exactly how it feels, and that's so hurtful. The second thing is to kind of downplay it, you know, to be like, oh, well, you were only 6 weeks, you know, at least you weren't 9 months. And it's like, well, that's hurtful because, you know, a loss is a loss, you know. Some people are like, well, at least, you know, you didn't have to go through where, you know, you could see. Yeah, it doesn't matter. No matter what, it's hurtful. And everybody's pain is real, like in every situation. And so it doesn't matter if they had a born or if not. You know, I think people have to grieve. And I think that's the third thing that was the most hurtful, when somebody would say, like, you can't grieve. Like, say, you know, that any event that happens, there's going to be people just having a baby or just finding out they're pregnant. You know, I would have people say to me, you know, why are you sad? You should be happy for them. And I thought, well, I am, but I can still be sad for us.
It's hard to watch other people have what you so badly want that you had for a minute, and then you lost it.
And to just think about every moment until like you have another baby, and I don't forget the pain, but until you have another baby, like you especially think about, oh, I missed his birth. Oh, I missed, you know, first birthday. You know, I miss everything you miss, you know, that you see other people experiencing. You're like,
that's true. So was there anything anybody said to you that was actually like helpful and brought you some peace and made you feel a little bit better?
Absolutely. I think the most helpful things are just like someone listening. You know, somebody making you feel that your baby mattered. You know, I would have people just sit and cry with me. I would have people say, you know, I lost a baby too, and you know, thank you for sharing because it made me feel like I could share, or just anything like that. They were listening and not trying to top my pain with their pain, not to trivialize their pain. But
I think that's something in motherhood that happens a lot, is people try, not even just with pain and loss, but with anything. It's like it's a competition of who's more tired or who's
growth and development.
Like everything is a competition, and it shouldn't be, because everyone is on their own journey towards the same destination, but we don't all get there the same way. And like, we're all human beings, and we all cope with things different way, whether it be tiredness, loss, you know, our baby not developing as fast as other people's, and it should not be a competition because we're all in it together. And if you are going through a miscarriage, you've had a miscarriage, you know somebody that's been through a miscarriage, there are so many wonderful programs that you can reach out to help you cope, or even if you just need somebody to talk to. I'm sure Brittanie wouldn't mind you reaching out to her to share your story. I definitely wouldn't mind you reaching out to me. So the links to all of our social media are going to be in the description below. So definitely give us a follow or reach out if you need us. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And we will see you, well, I will see you hopefully next week.